Hey everyone, welcome back to the KGM Theatrical channel. On this channel, I try to demystify Broadway producing and investing. So, what is an entitlement? So, you may have heard producers or investors talking about entitlements, entitlement charts, kicker points, one for twos, one for threes. Today, I'm going to demystify all of that, and I'm also going to give you a very quick formula to help you more easily calculate what those entitlements mean. On a recent video, I ran through the basic structure of how investors make money on a Broadway show, and I hinted at the time that there is another way that investors can make money or increase how much money they make on their investment in a Broadway show. And I said at the time that that was through entitlements. And that's what I'm going to be breaking down today. So if you recall, in that last video, I modeled everything based on an investment of $150,000 in a $15 million Broadway show, which gives us 1% of the capitalization. And in the last video, I mentioned that the producers and the investors split all adjusted net profits. And again, I explained what adjusted net profits are in that previous video. So just for today's sake, everything's going to be based off that ANP number. But I said we split this 50% and 50%. Now let's assume I have $1 million to return of adjusted net profits to my investors and my producers. That $1 million right here. Now, because you put in 1% of the capitalization, really what that means is of that 1%, you're entitled to half, 50% of the adjusted net profits. So if you are an investor without entitlements or kicker points, you're going to get 0.5% of that $1 million or 0.5% of the ANP. So 0.5% of ANP equals $5,000. That's the math that we went through in our prior video. But now let's look at an investor who has an entitlement. Let's say they have an entitlement of 1 for 2, which is one of the better entitlements you can get on a Broadway show. You could certainly get 1 for 1.5 or even 1 for 1. Those are more rare, so let's just focus on a 1 for 2 for today. So let's add that over here. 1 for 2. Now I'm going to give you that really simple formula to help you figure out what your entitlement is on a 1 for 2 with this investment. Now, again, all of these percentages are going to change based on your overall share of the capitalization. But for today's example, this 1 for 2, you would normally get 0.5 percentage point. You're going to take that 0.5 and you're going to divide it by 2 equals 0.25%. So now, if you have a 1 for 2 on this investment, in addition to that $5,000 from up here, you're also going to get 1/4 of a point. And that 1/4 of a point is going to come from the producer share. So essentially what's happening here is the producer is trying to encourage investors to give more money. And as an entitlement or an inducement into doing so, the producers are going to give a kicker point, an entitlement point out of their side of the adjusted net profits. So in this case, this 1 for 2, they got an additional 1/4 of a point of that $1 million or $2,500. Now, let's say you want to look at a 1 for 3. We're going to take that 0.5, and now, instead of dividing by 2, we're going to divide by 3. A 1 for 3 equals 0.17%. So if I take 0.17 and multiply that by $1 million, I get $1,600. $66.67. And again, that is in addition to the $5,000 you were already getting from the investor share. And this is again coming from your producer share. Now, let's look at one more example just so you can spot the pattern here. 1 for 4, stay with me, 0.5 divided by 4 equals 0.13. And that is going to give you $1,250. And again, that is going to come out of your producer share. So I know on Broadway, we tend to throw around a lot of terminology and the math seems hard. But at the end of the day, it's actually not so complicated. Entitlements are really just a way for producers to encourage investment from investors and co-producers. And they do so by giving a piece of their share of that 50% of the adjusted net profits. I hope this has been a helpful breakdown of how entitlements work on a Broadway show. We are just getting going with this channel. We want to demystify everything about producing and investing for you. So if you have comments or questions about anything I showed you in today's video, please let us know in the comments below. We want to be making more videos responding to what you're interested in. So let us know what we can demystify for you, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.